it's time now for the 11warriors.com web report. Dan is here. Evan is here. I am merely Beau. This was fun,
yes,
right? This is one of those things we kind of build it all football season as the Are We There Yet games, and then we get Wally World. Will Wally World deliver? Evan, this had to be an interesting experience for you. I know you're there as a fan.
Absolutely.
You had some of your buddies in town. We were talking off air. As you were viewing this through a former player's perspective and also as a fan's perspective, what was the experience like for
Honestly,
you on Saturday?
It's hard for me to turn off the inner player in myself, right? So I'm sitting in the stands and I'm yelling like, Johnny, keep going, or you got to top end that route. So like I still have that kind of that inner football player in me, but it's also really cool to kind of take a step back into my own personal realm because I grew up as a fan. I went to every Ohio State game when in the John Cooper era and then in the Jim Tressel era, going to bowl games with my dad obviously because he coached here. So getting to enjoy both ends of the spectrum kind of puts me in a weird spot physically. But no, I mean, it was the most fun that I've had in a very long time. I mean, getting to rush the field and giving Sam Hubbard a big old hug and then seeing another former teammate out there, Reed Frago, and the three of us getting to sing Carmen, Ohio together, like it was special. It was a special Saturday.
Dan, from a covering it perspective, this is one as a writer where you write the lead of this a dozen times in the last 10 minutes of the game. It's 28-10 at one point. I mean, there were so many moments. But the story of this game is incredible when you think about all that was at stake for Urban, all that was at stake for JT Barrett, and the fact that they delivered. This game really had it all.
Yeah, I mean, it was wild. I usually go down to the field about 5 minutes with 5 minutes of a game left. So I went down. When I was going down, I'm thinking, I'm probably going to write a story about how they lost the game.
Yeah.
But I'm standing down on the sidelines and go, I think my story's changing a little bit. And I see JT Barrett leading them on back-to-back touchdown drives, Free State touchdown drives in that fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, no shortage of storylines in this game. I mean, you couldn't have predicted a game like that. You couldn't have scripted a game like that. The way that it all unfolded, to unfold in that way, that kind of fourth quarter comeback for JT Barrett to complete 16 straight passes in the fourth quarter. Those are the type of things you just don't expect to see against a team like Penn State, but certainly an instant classic, a game that's going to be remembered a long time by Ohio State fans.
Yeah, certainly will. I think three things jump out at me. Number one, it was a game Urban had to have. He has never coached a meaningless November at Ohio State. He would have done that with a loss. So he gets that. All of their goals are still in place. You can still win the national title, still win the Big Ten. In fact, you're in the driver's seat in both those things. Handle your business, you're in both of those scenarios. Number two for JT Barrett, you think about the pendulum swing on a legacy. On this end, he loses that game, has an average fourth quarter. There would be people right now saying, I want to see Dwayne Haskins.
Absolutely.
It swings back this way. He goes 16 for 16, has the greatest fourth quarter performance in the history of the program, and you say to yourself, Heisman frontrunner? Right there with Barkley. I mean, he's right there at this point.
You got to say that he booked his ticket at least.
Oh, he's booked his ticket.
Yeah.
I'm a voter. The ticket's booked.
Right.
The ticket is booked. He's going to the Downtown Athletic Club. And the third thing I thought of was, what a win for the Big Ten. Because Penn State is not eliminated in any way, shape, or form. They lose a classic at Ohio State where they get, essentially, Ohio State wears them out and they get the win. But they played a great game. And Penn State, to me, afforded themselves as one of the top 5 teams in the country. Depending on how the attrition goes over the next month, they are very much still in play for the college football playoffs. So this was really an ideal scenario for Ohio State, for Urban, for JT, and for Penn State. Despite the loss, Penn State in the Big Ten still sits pretty to maybe get 2 teams in. Now, that all predicates on this week. You got to keep winning. Penn State is playing Michigan State this week. Ohio State, it's Iowa. When this schedule comes out, you look at Iowa and you say, that's got trap game written all over it, doesn't it? I mean, Kinnick, interesting place. They're going to wear these all blacked out uniforms, so they'll be all jacked up. It's going to bleed into nighttime with a 3:30 kick. But I've watched Iowa play, Evan, and I just don't see much. So, you know what I mean?
I was going to say the same thing, yes, but, we can't ever forget that Kirk Ferentz is the football coach that's coaching that team.
He does a nice job.
And he does a phenomenal job at putting a team together and being competitive in a lot of football games. They gave Penn State all that they had, and Penn State had to go down at the end of the game to win a football game in order to win on the road. So, there's going to be a lot of pressures like that. I mean, the pink locker room that we're going to have to deal with, dealing with the crowd and the hostile environment. But then at the end of the day, we just got to ride our momentum waves and keep playing like we are.
The trap game stuff, to me, it looks at Dan, and I know it'll be tricky out there for sure. They'll play. Look, they got Michigan in this spot last year. Michigan goes into this game last year waiting for Ohio State, game of the century, all that stuff. Michigan gets tripped up. This paints that way with Michigan State waiting. It's hard for me to see it, though. I just think the talent disparity is too big.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that certainly you look at the talent, Ohio State should be able to win this game convincingly. I mean, there's a big difference between playing a Penn State that's got a roster full of a lot of kids that Ohio State tried to recruit and playing a team like Iowa, where most of these kids were a step below the kids that Ohio State was trying to recruit. So the Buckeyes should be able to win this game. They've got more talent on both sides of the ball. But the thing that would concern me a little bit is I think there's been so much rising action for this team. I think since this Oklahoma game, they've just kind of built up and built up and built up to that Penn State game. And this would be the week you look at that maybe they get a little too much confidence. Maybe they have a letdown. I don't think it's going to cost them a game, but I think that's the thing. If you're Urban Meyer, if you're his coaches, you're really preaching this week is don't let it get to your head. We got to keep playing the way we've been playing the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, let's go. We've done this a lot this year. Let's go back to 2014. You guys beat Michigan State in an emotional game.
Absolutely.
But you kept it going. But there were some dicey moments. I remember Minnesota was a little closer than maybe we all thought it would be in the first half of that game before you took it away. It is hard to maintain that level. Nobody does it better than Urban.
Right.
But that'll be something that'll have to happen the rest of this month.
That's what I was going to touch on. I mean, the most important thing now going forward is to continue to build off the games, right? So we built each game up until, quote-unquote cupcake games, like a lot of people were calling them, up until Penn State. Well, now we've checked that one off the box, and now we have to say, okay, what did we get better at in this game? We have to carry that over to the next game and then get better at something else, and then carry that over to the next game and get better at something else. Because at the end of the day, if we want to make it to the college football playoffs, there will be 3 other of the best teams in the country, right? And we have to be flawless in all aspects of football, offense, special teams, and defense. So, we just got to continue to keep better, get better, and, ride our momentum waves.
It sets up that way. I mean, if you think about Iowa, Michigan State, the bye week against Illinois, and then Michigan, and then Wisconsin. Boy, I mean, you can build another thing here. You can start to crescendo again coming off the Penn State game. Interesting to see this team do it. It's good to play in November, and every game means so much. And once again, thanks to Urban Meyer and JT Barrett, we do. That was the 11warriorsweb.com report. Did I say that right? 11 Warriors Web report. There's no .com in it.
Hey, no, it's great.
There's no .com.
I liked it anyway.
I've done this for a few years. Every once in a while you miss it.
11warriors.com, so make sure
It is 11warriors.com web report. We'll see you next week.